when it comes to love of music, man, where's that all come from? Because you guys sound so different. Not like a lot of bands out there. You might be touching on a lot of things, man, but it's your own sound.
Oh, thanks, Rudy. I appreciate that. It's, it was kind of being, coming from a rock background the last 10 years, this project was doing about something different. So kind of going with that more indie alternative style these days, which I think more people are grasping. So it was about making a record that, has different sounds on it and a little more lighter that everyone can kind of enjoy.
But this isn't your first band. I mean, you've been through a lot of different stuff musically, though.
Yes. It's been about 10 years on the road now, waking up at 3 a.m. in in the middle of the winter, -40, and you're at a gas station eating hamburgers, and you're just like, oh man, this is, it's all part of the experience. But I think this new Lost in Film project has a lot of stories about those times with my bands, touring on the road with bands like Our Lady Peace, Seether, Thornley, all of that. So taking all those experiences and, writing about them now, which I think is kind of different.
Yeah, but Lost in Film. I mean, that's a different name right there. How did you come up with that, and what does that exactly mean?
It's, I went through a big movie stage. I was kind of getting into like all these films, and I was kind of like, oh, this is, the ideas behind everything, super interesting to me. So even in Toronto, I'm part of the Toronto Movie Club. It's a little club we get together and rendezvous, and it's a lot of fun, just the ideas that kind of bring out, and it's a different type of art. So with movies, people write great songs to go with these movies. A song, Goo Goo Dolls' Iris, that was written for a movie. I think that was super cool, and it just brings out, a whole new part of art.
Well, when we talked about the influences, I want to go into that too. I mean, people always want to categorize artists. What would you categorize as? Is it R&B? Is it pop? Is it rock? Is it country? Is it folk? Because like I said, you seem to touch on a lot of things.
That is the hardest part. People are kind of like, what do you sound like? And, I'll have friends jump in and be like, well, it's kind of this and this and this. And I think the clearest way would be alternative indie. But with that, we've got a real, folky song with Horseshoe Bay on the album. And then We're Older Now is, kind of like a more alternative song, and then Suitcase Escape is more of a CHR contemporary hit radio song. So I think the focus with this record is have a little bit of everything and not really a stale sound that, 3 tracks in, you're kind of like, oh, is this the same band? Okay, I recognize the singer, but same album.
'Cause that's how you live and breathe, contend with my philosophy, surreal.
Going back in the day, though, were there any artists that influenced you in getting into this business?
Definitely. I think I was about 20 years old, and I got the call one night, and I was going out to watch a band the next day, Big Wreck and Thornley, Ian Thornley is one of my idols. And the guy in Calgary, I was living in Calgary at the time, he's like, hey man, can your band open up for Big Wreck tomorrow night? And I was like, what? This is, yeah, that's cool, man. We'll see you there at like 6 for setup. And meanwhile, I'm like, Mom, we did it! Like, it was a really cool moment for me. So that was a really cool influence for me, and just getting to meet him in the washroom and then be like, dude, I've been listening to you for 10 years and you changed my life. It was a really great experience.
Now, putting this album together, I mean, how long did it take? I mean, writing the songs, are these, and you kind of mentioned about where the songs come from, but how long did it actually take to write? Did you have like a bunch of songs that you said, I'm going to take the best of the best and put it together, or did this turn out to be a storybook?
Yeah, it took 2.5 years from start to finish. When I started it was just kind of for fun. I was just left my band that was touring on the road for 4 years straight, and that was kind of a big, heavy project. So after this, I was like, I just want to do my own thing for a little bit. So I started it in Calgary, and I was moving around cities at the time in radio. And I kind of compiled a bunch of songs together, and I threw some on the internet just for fun. And some guys in Australia were like, hey man, we really like this sound. Do you want to come over here and do a tour? And it was like, wait, what? Like, this is, what? Okay. So after that, I started getting a few more fans, and I eventually had 12 songs, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to put this out and just see where it goes. And I guess that's kind of what it brings me to today.
Are you surprised when you're seeing those type of crowds coming out to hear your band? Because like I said, I came out to hear you guys live, and it sounded fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate coming out. It's like, hey, Rudy's here. This is awesome. You know what? It's great, especially when you have a band following. There's 5 different guys, a lot of family and everything kind of gets you started off, and then from there your fan base grows. And we've had shows where, we played to 7 people in Kenora, Ontario, and it was like, man, this is like, what are we doing here? This is crazy. And then 2 nights later on the same tour, we get to, open up for a band called Seether in front of, 7,000 people. So as the experience is, you take the good with the bad, but for Lost in Film, since it's kind of my baby, it's a way new, it feels way more personal to my heart of this is something that I started with my own two hands and finished with my own two hands. And you know, there wasn't any other guys in the band who kind of made stuff happen along the way. So I've been extremely blessed with all the help and support and the fans on this new record.
Congratulations and all the success.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rudy. Appreciate it, man.